Are you an introvert or an extrovert? In many cases, being a successful photographer requires you to have exceptional people skills. This is especially true when you specialize in something like portrait photography. For extroverts, working with people can be energizing and fun. For introverts, it might be a lot harder. So which one are you? If you're an introvert, you can definitely find ways to become better at working with models. But the good thing is that there are so many other types of photography that you just might find more enjoyable. In this video, I'm going to talk about a few different types of photography that you might enjoy as an introvert. But before I get into this list, please be sure to subscribe to my channel if you're new here so you can stay up to date with all of my new photography-related videos. So let's get right into it. All right, so number one, real estate photography. This is something I personally do a lot of. I not only do real estate photography for the building I live in, which is super practical, but I also do it for other buildings in the area. If you're an introvert, you might enjoy real estate photography. A lot of the times when I'm doing it, I'm pretty much just left alone to do my work, and then I deliver the product without a whole lot of interaction. Some people might find this boring. Some people might really enjoy it. There is actually a lot of money in real estate photography, especially if you live in a high-income area. It is, however, a competitive market, so if you live in an apartment building or something like that, you might want to start local and see if the building that you live in needs some photography. That's kind of a good way to get your foot in the door, and then you can expand to other buildings, homes, and houses in your area. Number two, photojournalism. Photojournalism is my absolute favorite type of photography in the world, and that's probably because I have a journalism background. Before I was a photographer, I was actually a print journalist. Introverts might love photojournalism because it allows them to sort of be an observer and capture moments, but they're not staging the events, most of the time that is. An example of photojournalism would be photographing a protest or some sort of news event. These types of photos can really have an impact and sometimes even change the world. Personally, I find photojournalism to be very, very important, and pretty much anyone can get into it because there's probably something happening where you live, something worth documenting. Now, making money from photojournalism is a little bit harder because there are so many people with cameras out there, and it really helps to have connections to newspapers or magazines in order to get actual photojournalism jobs. If this is something you're interested in, you might want to contact one of the local newspapers in your town and see if they need a photographer. Chances are they might already have one, but maybe there's times when that photographer is not available and where you can provide something in his or her absence. If you have photos of news events already, something that just happened, you can also send those to your local newspaper, and who knows, maybe they'll actually use your photos. Now, if you don't have any connections, you can also upload your photojournalism to stock photography websites. Websites that I would recommend for photojournalism would be Shutterstock, Alamy, and Getty Images. Although keep in mind that if you do upload photos to Getty Images, they do require that those photos are exclusively uploaded to Getty and not anywhere else. But more about that will be in a future video. Number three, landscape, wildlife, macro, and insect photography. These are all so much fun. Personally, these are the types of photography that I do as a hobby, but there are people that do this for a living. If this is the kind of photography that you are most interested in, this type of photography is great for introverts because basically you're connecting with nature but not necessarily with other humans. If this is something you're interested in and that you would like to make money from, you'll probably first have to start by going out and just doing it, and then maybe you can see if you can have your photos displayed somewhere. Photo exhibitions, try to sell prints on your website or display your photos on social media. Maybe try to get some of your work into a magazine. But again, that usually requires some sort of connection, but not always. Sometimes you just get lucky or your shots are so spectacular and nobody else has a shot like that. I dabble a little bit in macro photography, but I honestly don't know too much about it. All I know is that it's a very peaceful and meditative experience to just go out in nature with your macro lenses and photograph the tiny world of insects. Lots of fun. Let me know if this is something you enjoy. Number four, aerial photography. Another favorite of mine. Most of you know that I love to fly drones and just view the world from a totally different perspective. The future of drone photography is unclear. Some of you might know that Canada just made its drone laws super, super strict, basically making it impossible for recreational drone pilots to fly in Canada. And we never know if the US or other countries might follow in Canada's footsteps. I mean, it's quite possible. So if you want to go into aerial photography, it might be worth getting a commercial drone pilot license, because if the laws do get stricter in your country, you might be a rare species. You might be the photographer that people turn to when they need drone photos. So drone photography obviously is great if you want to do landscapes or cityscapes, but it is also great for real estate photography. There are a lot of companies out there right now that are photographing big mansions with their drones and creating video compilations of, houses that are for sale. And this is a market that you might want to look into, and one that I'm personally also trying to get into. So again, this might be another appealing type of photography for introverts because, most likely it's just you and your drone. Number 5, sports photography. Introverts might also love sports photography because just like with news events, you're more of an observer and you're not actively setting up shots or telling people what to do. Unless, of course, you're taking team photos or something like that. But overall, sports photography is kind of like photojournalism, and it might appeal to you if you like watching events unfold with your camera. Number 6, astrophotography. This is another one that I have pretty much only done for fun, but there are photographers out there that specialize in astrophotography and actually sell their photos. I actually met a photographer once, a really well-known astrophotographer. He had sort of like an exhibition on the street that I live on. It was like an art show, and he had printed out his beautiful astrophotography, and you could get gigantic prints of this photography. And a lot of people were buying it. I mean, he photographed all the galaxies and, the moon and the planets, and I mean, it was just beautiful. So this is something that also might appeal to introverts because astrophotography requires a lot of time, patience, and sitting outside in the middle of the night, surviving in the cold, and avoiding mosquito bites and whatever else might come with sitting outside at night. I mean, I don't really know. And number 7, stock photography. Now, numbers 1 through 6 can all be applied to number 7. When you're a stock photographer, you can pretty much upload whatever you want. So if you have an introverted nature, you can go out and photograph literally whatever makes your heart sing and then upload that to stock photography. Of course, there are some types of photos that are more likely to sell than others, but stock photography is a great place to just start and put up the type of content that you love rather than the type of content that you think you should be doing as a photographer. Not everybody is cut out to be a wedding photographer or a portrait photographer. There are so many of them already, and there are so many different types of photography that you can find one that you truly love and enjoy, and you can become successful at that if you really focus in on it and learn more about that market. Now, am I an introvert or an extrovert? Well, I've actually spent a lot of time thinking about that recently, and sometimes I feel like I'm more of an introvert just because I love doing things alone. And I really enjoy wandering around in nature by myself and all of that. But at the same time, I also like hanging out with people that I know and going to events and just keeping busy. So I think I fall kind of on the middle of the introvert-extrovert spectrum. What is your favorite type of photography? Do you prefer working with people or without people? Let me know. I'm curious what you guys prefer. Subscribe if you're new here. I'll see you in the next video. And if you want to know what to watch next, check out my video above about corporate event photography, something I personally do a lot. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.